Dungeons and Dragons.
Let's talk some stuff.
All right, well, before we start, we're going to give you our usual disclaimer. This week, we're going to talk about some stuff that's pretty heavy. We are talking about Dungeons and Dragons. I'm sure there will be things that we all laugh at, but we are actually dealing with some very heavy issues. Primarily, two cases that really made it on the news was about two young men that took their own lives. So we want to let you know that we are sensitive to that. We're not, we're not that bad. We're a little bad. We're not that
Yeah,
bad.
we're not making fun of that. We're
No,
certainly not
absolutely not.
mocking
No.
anyone's mental health.
Right. So with that out of the way, let's get started. Vin,
Yeah.
have you
Hi.
ever, hello, have you ever played Dungeons and Dragons?
Well, not when it was a thing. I played it when I was in my mid 20s. I had no idea. I had seen stuff where there was stuff on like talk shows, but even talk shows I wasn't allowed to watch
Oh.
because that was inviting the devil into your living room. So I couldn't even see, I knew it was on there, but we weren't allowed to watch the talk shows either.
So were you inviting the devil into your living room, even the ones that we're talking about, like Satanic Panic and the cults and
Yeah,
oh,
because
so.
Jehovah's Witnesses, they don't even allow you to look into other people's beliefs. You're not allowed to
Mm.
read other people's doctrines or anything. So hearing about it, even on the television, that was also
Okay,
bad too.
okay.
So
Well, these definitely did make it on the talk shows, but they did more than that. They made it on like real news, trusted news sources. There's a whole segment on 60 Minutes about these two particular young men who, well, we'll go right into it. The first one was a young man named James. It's James Dallas Egbert III. He was 16 years old
mhm.
and he was attending Michigan State University. So you can already see where he might be struggling a little bit being so much younger than all of his schoolmates.
Wasn't he like a prodigy or something?
He was, absolutely. And he left a note saying what he intended to do and he disappeared. Now somehow the police ran with this and decided that he had gone into these tunnels in their town and he was believing that he was they did find out that he played Dungeons and Dragons and that they believe that he was lost in his this fake reality and this is what was driving him to want to take his own life. As it turned out, he did not actually harm him. Well, I think he attempted to harm himself, but it did not happen there, and he did at a later date die by
Now,
his own hand.
was the tunnel system, was that part of the college? I can't remember if that was
Um,
connected to the college somehow,
you
or
know,
just something the kids knew about.
I did read about that, and I don't have it in my notes, but I don't think it was part of. I think it was just in the town. Um, and he later was successful, and his parents absolutely believe or that Dungeons and Dragons played a role. Of course, the other thing that confuses me is he left a note.
Mhm.
So they must have had some sort of explanation of what was motivating him. But it was seemed to be easier and it was definitely the police that grabbed onto this. Then it was later brought up by fellow students that he had been struggling at the university you know, the whole time. And understandably, he's young, he's not
Yeah,
as
being that
mature.
young.
Right. And a lot of pressure because he is a prodigy. So anyway, I understand why, parents would want to grab onto that, but the fact that the police were like, "Yep, this was it. This is what happened." And then for 60 minutes to air it as just absolute truth that this is what happened to this teen, and he obviously was a teen, he was only 16, uh was pretty mind-blowing. There was really no investigative journalism there. They just took it at face value. So we're going to move on to, and these are the two biggest cases. So the next one was a 17-year-old named Irving Pulling the second. It's interesting that they are third and second,
Yeah,
but anyway,
third and second. I
uh,
don't know about this one. I knew about the first one a little bit, and I believe the parents even hired a detective. I mean, a private investigator to look into it, and
mhm,
he latched on to that too because it was
mhm,
like, oh, this is the only thing that's not been like really explored. The tunnels. He still hasn't apologized to this day. They were showing an interview with him, and he was still convinced that
it
he had
was
been down there.
right, right. Well, then, and he actually, I think he had been down there, but
Mhm.
he was not found down there because he had actually left, and
Yeah, he didn't complete his journey until quite a while after that.
he actually had multiple attempts. So it was like there's a lot going on here, obviously, that he
Yeah.
needed help with. Um, so yeah, the next one is Irving Pulling the second. He was 17. He I believe it was at home he was found.
Mhm.
And his mother really, I mean, and I understand it's really hard. You want an explanation, you want answers for why your child did this. But she really grabbed onto, she claimed that he had told her, and maybe he had,
Mhm.
told her that he had been cursed during the Dungeons and Dragons game.
Mhm.
And then shortly after that, he did take his own life. So she was convinced it was that he believed there was a curse on him or that there was a curse on him. Um, Now, the thing is, when pursued more. And again, she was on 60 Minutes. She was interviewed. She actually went and talked to police departments. She went to churches. I mean, she started a big campaign. She started, and I might laugh at this, everyone. I am so sorry. She started a group against Dungeons and Dragons called BAD. And what I find not shocking, we had MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, but BAD was bothered about Dungeons and Dragons. It sounds very tame. I'm only bothered. I'm not
Bothered.
that,
It's very posh.
yeah, like I'm
Like
bothered.
bothered by the demons.
Bothered. But I mean, she really pushed us and got a pretty big, group of parents concerned. So that was she started in 1983. Um, and yeah, it did get some traction. One of the things that what they focused on primarily was the demonology
Mhm.
of Dungeons and Dragons, witchcraft, uh, SA. I guess that's the easiest way to say it. I think we can get away with this because we're talking historically, murder and blasphemy. Um, Blasphemy being so random in there, of course, but anyway,
Blasphemy.
but
Let's not forget.
but these literally said that the game was a training manual for the occult. Not just people having their battles and earning their rewards and getting their, health, what was it? You had health points or whatever your
Yep.
and going low. No, none of that. It was not a game. Well, as they went along, they there was people who finally decided maybe we should fact check this after it's been on 60 Minutes, all the news programs, local news, churches, and talk shows. So all of this aired saying, yes, this is it. Dungeons and Dragons is pure evil. You're inviting your children to become cultists, basically. They're going to be Satanists and it's all over. And on top of that, they could hurt themselves in the so anyway, no, they didn't decide to start fact checking this until almost 4 to 5 years later. Because let's just talk about this forever. In 1985, so these horrible things with the boys happened. And then in 1985 is when it really hit the news. And then the churches, I'm sure it was already hitting the churches, quite
Oh,
honestly.
I'm sure. Yeah, I was all over Donahue.
Oh, yeah, Donahue is, I used to love watching Donahue, though. So, and of course, it will go through what people saw. First, the churches saw demons. magic, spells, pentagrams, and they, of course, were going to go right to what the church always tells you to do. Burn it all,
Burn
burn
it. Those are
everything.
horrible dice. They're just evil dice.
Right, those dice with all those sides, that can't be right.
Something's up with that.
That can't be right.
Can't have that many sides. Plus,
So,
from what I read and saw on a documentary, it was invented by these two guys in the late, I think it was the mid or late 70s, and they loved board games, but they were also they weren't in the military. I thought they had been. They liked war games, and they
mhm,
thought this would be a fun way to create a war game, but you could have all these fantasy creatures instead, and then you could pick out who you were instead of being limited to being a human. So it was
right.
like a really multi-leveled mental challenge, which was really good.
Well, and that's
It
the other
still
thing.
is. I mean, it's great for young kids to try to, look 5 steps ahead, what's going to happen, what could happen, different
Well,
things like that.
it's amazing because it did, you're right. It used all those things. It used imagination, math. I mean, there were all these things that these kids were doing, but on top of that, if you were the dungeon master, talk about somebody who had to think way, way ahead because they're
Yeah,
creating the whole campaign.
you had to
And,
plan out the whole campaign, and sometimes that could take weeks. And I'll tell you later, when I first learned, my dungeon master, she had a whole notebook, man. She like one of those 4 subject notebooks. She was ready for us on my first time playing it, and it's like, whew, she's
yeah, I mean, it was a lot. It was a lot of work, but not evil, just
no,
causing people to actually use their imagination and use their logic. But
but
let's be honest, somebody's going to get creative about about this. It's going to be Hollywood.
of course, of course.
So here comes Hollywood with this made-for-TV movie starring a young Tom Hanks.
No way! I didn't know he was in that.
Yes. And um interestingly, I watched this with Emily, my daughter. She could not believe how poorly filmed this was. When I explained to her that this was probably a Monday night movie, it had
Yep.
been advertised for weeks, people were putting this on their schedule. They don't want to miss this because it's also, this is pretty scary stuff. So the parents want to watch this. But it is so poorly filmed. It's grainy, it's crazy. The acting is crazy. Tom Hanks, bless that man's soul. I couldn't tell if he was supposed to be a college student or he was 40. That man looks the same. He looked the same young as he does now. I don't know. But he ends up playing sort of a combination in some ways of these first two real life people. So there is going into these tunnels, but now he has lost touch. Tom Hanks has lost complete touch with
Uh-oh.
reality. He thinks he is in the board game. He's playing D&D all the time. Oddly enough, his call, and they do actually have a younger character. If anybody remembers, it was Chris Makepeace. I think he was really big in the 80s. Anyway, terrible acting, by the way. He got better, I feel like. But anyway, he seemed to be the pulling the high school. Well, he was a combination because he was actually a prodigy who was there. But Tom Hanks was the one who went into the he actually doesn't go into the tunnels. He goes into the New York subway system. But he
That's
Right, those are tunnels. Um, but he loses complete sense of reality, terrifyingly. He just never comes back from this world, and his college friends come to visit him, and they think his mother's saying he's so much better, and then they go out to talk to him, and the movie ends with him basically talking about the woods, and there's this kind of monster in there and that kind of monster, and they need to go fight them, and the friends realize they've lost him forever. So there's no deaths in this, but he is lost forever. He is now never going to be sane again because of dungeons. Of course, it was called, they couldn't use Dungeons and Dragons, so it was Mazes and Monsters, but same thing. I mean, it had to be terrifying for parents who are thinking, well, my children will go off the deep end and never come back to me. And so they really played it up in this movie. It was terrible. It was terrible. anybody who wants to watch it, that's a trip into the 80s that I don't know.
I need to try to find it.
It's
Now, when I tried playing it, like I said, I was about 25, 26. I can see how younger kids could get into that because, when you're little and the floor is lava,
hmm
me and my brother, I mean, oh my God, we would have jumped to our death off of a couch onto something else to avoid the lava or the sharks.
right.
So when I started playing it, my dungeon master, like I said, I'd never played it before. It was like a 24-hour long game. Nobody slept. I didn't know except only two people. A whole bunch of people showed up. Lots of pizza, lots of Pepsi. Nobody, you never stepped out of character. You
Mhm.
always, it did not matter if you had to go to the bathroom. You did not change your character. You
Right.
could not speak to each other unless you were in character. I was Maurice, and I loved it. Because I was like 6'3". But when I would go back to work, I worked in a quality control at this thread factory with a whole bunch of old ladies. I made them call me Maurice for 2 weeks. They thought I was going crazy, and I was like,
Well, there you go. You were proving
yeah.
that this is.
But I mean, I carried my notebook with me because I had my lore. I had to check my numbers. I had to keep an eye on my health, and then we would hook back up the next week to keep playing. And finally, this is what really, really bugged me. We had to locate a magic golden box. Now, I didn't know how to play. She starts me out when I've got nothing on and I have no shoes. She didn't even give me shoes. She didn't like me at all. And, I'm wandering around in the woods and she's like, I come across a couple soldiers or something. Anyways, I threw the dice. Uh, Something ate them. Something came out of the cave and killed them. So she's like, "What are you going to do now?" And I said, "I'm going to see what size shoe they wear because I don't have any shoes." She was impressed because I got a pair of shoes. Come to find out, this stupid golden box was on top of an invisible tree in the middle of a friggin' village really far away. I found it, but I died at the base of the invisible tree.
Uh,
Apparently, the invisible tree was also electric. And
of
then
course.
someone else got the box because I died.
You, you,
I was so upset though. I had
uh,
I had invested so much into my character. I mean, I drew what I looked like. I knew who I was. I was Maurice. And then I died and I was just like, I was depressed for weeks. I'd come in there and I'm like, I'm not Maurice anymore. Maurice is dead. And they'd be like, what is wrong with you? But it was role playing, and you
well,
can get into that. It's fun. I do it every
right, and you
day.
can see it would be, it's addictive. It is. I mean, I'm gonna go in, I'll tell you my
Yeah, tell
experience.
me yours.
So I didn't play, I think I played actual D&D like maybe once, and that was also in like college. I didn't play in high school or younger. Um, but we played once D&D, of course, to be also that's the other thing. All of this attention to Dungeons and Dragons only made it more popular.
Yeah.
So it sort of backfired on all these parents who were because they went from like okay sales to I think in like 300,000 sales of the books, the
That
basic
happens
set.
every time.
Right.
They're like, ban this. And then everyone's like, oh, what is this? I'm going
It-
to,
right. So
I'll
it
see if I
totally
can get it.
does. Probably if the parents paid no attention to it, it
Yeah, I would
would
have
have petered.
disappeared.
But so we played like a next generation. It was called Cyberpunk, and it was more of like Dungeons and Dragons in like an urban fantasy setting. So it was modern. And they also changed it that you could get more points to put into your abilities if you took deficits. Like you could take things that were wrong, you could take physical deficits, you could take like you could be, you
One
know,
leg.
right, you could, and you would get big points. Well, I took alcoholism and drug addiction, and I took those points, and I didn't
Yeah.
get any like magic skills. In this, you could have like manipulation type stuff. You could be like Wolverine and have things that
Ooh.
part like it was very like so you could have, but those were illegal. So you had to be careful when you use them because you couldn't be caught using them. And I took those too. I had the sword.
Did you have to roll the dice to see if you got caught when you used those?
Yes. So if you were in the middle of a battle, you'd have to roll the dice to see. But I can't really say I played Cyberpunk because, well, to finish, I took all of these extra points that I had and I just put them into fast talk and charisma. I didn't take any, I didn't take any other fighting skills. I took nothing. I just put everything into those two things. And I made my, for lack of better terms, dungeon master so mad because I would screw up every like scene that I was there because I could just be like, your shoes untied. I'd roll. I had such a high level. People would like fall down and hurt themselves and we'd get away or whatever. Like it was really irritating to him. But anyway, to go back to did I really play? No, no, I didn't really play because at the beginning of every time we went on any adventure or anywhere, I had to roll to see if I was conscious.
No.
And
Or
invariably, I
drunk.
was not conscious because I was high or drunk, and they just dragged my passed out body around. I think I played, no exaggeration, in this probably 24-hour against campaign, I probably played 2 hours of it. Like I
You
was
were
just
drunk
sitting
the whole
there. I
time.
was just sitting there like, okay, well, which my I think my dungeon master rigged that a little bit because putting all those points into those two things made it I kept screwing up his scenarios. Um so that was
My
my adventure, and mine was a male too. It was a male rock star because I felt like a rock star would be charisma and alcohol. I mean, it made sense. He made it so that my hidden implants, because I was drunk or high, they would just periodically pop out. So he'd get me that way too. He'd be like, "Oh, these legal, but these police officers saw you, or they're sticking out. You're arrested." I spent a lot of time unconscious and in jail. So, um, but the point being, it was very involved. And even sitting there listening was a lot of fun because it's amazing what he came up with and stuff. But um, and I got really into it too, being a writer. I love creating characters. I love doing that. I got really into it. Never felt
even
like I was
drunk,
losing.
you were still into it.
Well, even drunk, I was still into it.
My
Um,
dungeon master did not like me. She thought I was hitting on her girlfriend. She kept accusing me of that. And she tried everything to kill me off. She put me in a cave with a damn giant spider. I barely survived. I was freaking out. And then she said something to me, and she said she sarcastically said something about, careful, you might end up pregnant. I said, I'm a guy. She's like, doesn't matter in my world. And I'm like, oh no.
wow.
Yeah, she sucks.
Somebody was on a power trip.
She's like, I can do anything I want. I think I could have won, but she did not want to see me win.
Yeah,
She,
that was, it was rigged.
yeah, I mean, I found the box.
You were robbed. I'm
I
gonna go, you were robbed. Look at you being so good drinking coconut water. I'm drinking
love coconut water. I
caffeine.
also have Tang as well.
I love Tang. Um, that's very our childhood Tang.
Oh, have you seen the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon TV show?
No, I never watched that.
I never watched it until a few days ago.
And you wish
It
you never
was
had.
so bad. I could not get through a whole episode. I mean, it was a cross between, you remember that really poorly done animated series, Josie and the Pussycats,
Hmm.
kind of like Scooby Doo. Well, it
Hmm.
was animated like that, had that same kind of jerky animation quality, not good, very grainy. Your daughter would have loved it. It was so dumb. And they tried to, you could tell they were trying to emulate the Scooby Doo characters, except they added a few more. These kids, they were at an amusement park and they get on a ride that's supposed to be like the Tunnel of Love, except it is a D&D ride, and it malfunctions and it sucks them into the world. And there's some little
Mm.
wizard troll there that turns them into characters. And one of them is this really rich snob kid who keeps talking about how he hopes his dad's limo comes to drive them because he's tired. Merlin's sort of there, but not really. Bunch of dragons everywhere, but the dragons have like really scary, creepy, demonic voices and stuff. It's so dumb. I mean, it's
No.
there's no dice either. I mean, they're over there like using their powers. They're like shooting people with their whatever comes out of their fingers and stuff. And one of them is like a really bad. magician. He's this kid. He keeps messing everything up. He pulls shit out of
Mm.
his hat, and it's like he was supposed to get them something to drink, and he like summons a cow.
Well, I mean,
Oh, and instead of a dog like Scooby, they had a unicorn. I don't know
of
what the
course.
animal was in the real world, but it turned into a unicorn when they got to
What?
this world. It
Well,
was
of course.
it was such a horrible
Uh,
cartoon.
Speaking of the unicorn, it's that time. Just a second.
Bring on the unicorn, our
There he
mascot.
is. There he
Yay!
is. He made it quite a while without having to come sit on my lap. But
Hi, Remy. Remy. Hey, look, Remy. Remy.
he will not look at the screen. It is definitely you're being snubbed.
He looks at it once in a while, but he gives me a dirty look. He'll flatten that one ear out.
Oh, okay. Um, but yeah, so well, I don't think I missed much on the cartoon.
It was
I
bad.
wonder when
You
that
really
came.
didn't.
I wonder when that came out. I
It
even had
looks
that
like it looks like a He-Man time
time.
frame.
Mm.
Probably 84, 83 to 85, I'm going to guess, but I don't know the exact time, but it was terrible. It was terrible. It was
Well,
so
and
dumb.
and sorry, I lost our
Oh, that's all right.
train.
I'll
He's,
lay here and take a nap.
uh, well, anyway, here's the thing. It's sort of I mean, it definitely added to Satanic Panic, and it definitely, but it didn't go away. You can still go right now on Amazon. You can go to Barnes and Noble and you can buy your basic set and all the books that go with it. I'm
You
sure
know,
you can.
a lot of the schools now are they've actually got D&D classes, and it's really great for the kids. I mean, it's so good because they work as groups, they work as
Mhm,
teams. You know, they're designing their world, they're getting, math, and then
mhm,
reasoning. They're just, figuring out logical stuff. What would you do in this situation or this scenario? It's really good. I mean, the kids love it. Of course, they
mhm.
love it. But the parents were freaking out because they were writing spells. I had a whole bunch of spells. I had a whole spell book for my character because I was a mage. Of course, I had spells.
Yeah, so and again, I want to go back to Irving Pulling. The mother's name was Patricia Pulling. I also don't want to villainize, even though she went down an extremist route here. I mean, she was a grieving parent looking for answers, and we've seen that over and over. Let's see, I think what heavy metal has been blamed for teen
Well, it's easier for
death.
parents to find a scapegoat instead of accepting that their child has mental health issues.
Hmm.
And because that makes them feel like they did something wrong. Like maybe their parenting was bad, maybe it was genetic, maybe they inherited something. So instead of them taking on that blame, it's easier to grab onto something they don't understand and then blowing it out of proportion so that they can cope with whatever they're going through. So this was a
Hmm.
really easy scapegoat for people,
Right.
especially in that situation. Because if you are mentally unstable, that would not be a good game for you. Because if you have trouble with reality, that's really not a good place to be. Because
Right.
even me, when I had to go into that cave with the spider, I was horrified.
Hmm.
And those people also had two freaking ferrets that had got out of their cage. I hate ferrets. I could not find them. Not only could I not put my feet on the floor, I was in a cave with a spider and there were two loose ferrets. It was terrible.
That So wait, were the ferrets real?
Yes, that was the problem. I was freaking out about the ferrets and the giant spider. And I was somewhat mentally healthy. So, somewhat. So, yeah.
I don't know what it says about me then that I took the alcohol and
You
drug
were just
addiction.
drunk the whole time.
Remy's looking at me like, were you?
Quit
Were
drinking,
you?
Mom. Quit
Were
being.
you? Um, but yeah, so we would love, as usual, we're gonna put out our pitch here. We would love to hear your stories. We would like to hear what you did playing Dungeons and Dragons. Just send your stories of if you want to just share the crazy campaign you went on, or how many hours you played in a row and went with sleep deprivation, which, by the way, sleep deprivation, also not good if you're having mental health issues.
Well, plus, I mean, the same thing happens now with video games. Kids will
Mhm.
play for 24, 48 hours and they end up in the ER. And we played for 24 hours straight. I was not, I mean, I was just like, I don't know why I drove home. I don't know how I drove home. I just know I was just out of it. Plus, when you're sleep deprived, you start seeing weird stuff because your eyes are tired, your brain is tired, you got weird shadows around, and it's not a good place to be at all.
No, but it is not satanic.
No, it's not safe.
And it's literally like you said, it could happen. Heck, I would argue no one has ever finished a game of Monopoly. So, Monopoly, you could go into Monopoly psychosis.
That's satanic. Yeah, the board gets thrown across the room, money's thrown
Exactly.
everywhere.
But yes, we would love for you to send all your stories, or if you had a friend, we'll hear friend of a friend, or the babysitter's cousin had something happen with D&D. We want to hear it. So please send in those stories, and we're gonna have the email in the description below. Um, did we have any more to add? Because this one was a little heavy. We stayed pretty serious for this one.
We did. We didn't crack up too much.
No, I mean bothered about Dungeons and
We were
Dragons. Done.
bothered. We were mildly bothered. Now I'm going to have nightmares about giant spiders in a cave.
I'm sorry, and a big ferret.
Well,
Fortunately, the ferret
just
wasn't
two
big.
regular ferrets. I don't know where they went. That's why I didn't sleep, because I am not going to sleep when there's two loose ferrets in their trailer just running around and I'm on the couch with my feet up.
Yeah, I don't. Mm-mm.
Ferrets are
Well,
satanic. That's what I think. They look like somebody took a rat and
I
just,
I think that that is a hill you can die on.
hmm,
Ferrets are satanic.
I think so.
Um, but please like, share. Don't forget about Substack. I'm gonna put the information to try to make that a little easier for you guys to find us on Substack. Substack.
So,
Hard to say, tongue twister. And also, starting Tuesday, I am going to be uploading these to Spotify. We have Spotify set up. The next conquest is Apple. So we're slowly but surely getting ourselves out there. I would say, let's see how you feel about this, Vin. I would say give us another, let's do a solid 2 months of episodes before we start thinking book club or lives. I think we need to get some traction going before we get into that.
yeah.
So when we start doing that on Substack, you're gonna want to be there. You're gonna want to be there.
And don't worry, somebody had said something on Facebook about how they hoped we didn't get too high tech and change our forum.
We
We
don't
don't
have
know how.
no idea.
You're just stuck with me sitting on my bed and Kathy's in her office. And
Holding my dog.
yeah, I don't like the light too bright either. So we won't be getting any of that fancy stuff. You're just
Hey,
stuck with us Gen X. This is how we roll.
yeah, and we don't want bright light now.
Mm-mm-mm.
It's not, this is not the time. Those that ship has sailed, right, Ram?
Time to dim the lights and sit on the porch.
That's right. But anyway, so that is it for Dungeons and Dragons. But if you think of more stories, we will continue. We can find out more stuff. Yeah, hang loose.
Hang.
Call me.
Okay, what is it? Which one's the devil? We don't know if it's the devil horns or love, or I think that's the letter A. I don't.
I'm just gonna wave goodbye.
Bye.